Your life is not meant to be placed on hold while you wait for someone to choose you, notice you, return to you, explain themselves to you, or finally become the person you hoped they would be. Your heart was not created to sit at the door of someone else's decision, wondering if today will be the day they understand your worth. Your soul was not born to shrink itself around unanswered messages, unfinished conversations, broken promises, or dreams that keep being delayed because you are afraid to move without permission. Maybe you have been waiting for love to feel safe again. Maybe you have been waiting for an apology that never came. Maybe you have been waiting for someone to change, someone to come back, someone to finally see how much you gave, how much you tried, how much you hurt in silence. Maybe you have been waiting for the perfect sign, the perfect time, the perfect feeling, the perfect version of yourself before you begin again. But my dear, life is too precious to be spent in a waiting room that was never meant to become your home. There comes a moment when the heart must softly ask, how much longer will I keep giving my life to what is not choosing me now? How much longer will I let my joy depend on someone else's readiness? How much longer will I stand still because I am afraid that moving forward means losing what I once loved? And in that honest moment, something inside you begins to wake up. Not with anger, not with hardness, not with bitterness, but with truth. A quiet truth that says, I can love and still choose myself. I can care and still move forward. I can honor what mattered and still stop letting it control the rest of my life. Do not waste your life waiting. This does not mean you become cold. It does not mean you stop believing in love. It does not mean you give up on dreams. It means you stop abandoning yourself while you hope something outside of you will finally make you feel whole. It means you stop standing in the same emotional place, looking back at what hurt you when life is gently calling you forward. It means you begin to understand that your peace matters too, your future matters too, your heart matters too. So many people call it patience when it is really fear. They say, I am waiting because I believe. But deep inside, they are afraid to choose themselves. They are afraid to walk forward because part of them still hopes the past will suddenly become kind. They are afraid that if they stop waiting, it means the love was not real, the dream was not important, the time was wasted. But no, my dear, moving forward does not erase what you felt. Moving forward honors the part of you that survived it. You can love someone and still stop waiting for them to become your whole life. You can miss someone and still decide that your heart deserves rest. You can remember the past and still stop letting it decide your morning, your mood, your confidence, your future. Love does not ask you to disappear. True love does not ask you to lose yourself. And if you have had to become smaller, quieter, more anxious, more doubtful, more afraid, just to keep holding on, then maybe the lesson is not to hold tighter. Maybe the lesson is to come back home to yourself. You may have spent so much time thinking, what if they come back? What if the door opens? What if the answer comes? What if things change? But there is another question that is just as sacred. What if you come back to yourself? What if the door that needs to open first is inside your own heart? What if the answer you are waiting for is not outside of you, but rising quietly from within you, saying, choose peace now, choose love now, choose your life now. Your life is not over because one person did not know how to love you well. Your future is not empty because one plan did not happen the way you hoped. Your worth is not gone because someone could not see it clearly. The sun still rises, your heart still beats, life still knows your name. There is still good waiting for you, not as a reward for suffering, but as a natural part of being alive and open again. Sometimes we hold on because we think letting go means we failed. But there is no failure in choosing your own healing. There is no shame in saying, I have waited long enough in pain. There is no weakness in admitting that your soul needs movement, warmth, care, and peace. There is strength in saying, I do not want to build my life around uncertainty anymore. There is wisdom in saying, I deserve love that does not keep me guessing. There is deep self-respect in saying, I can move forward without knowing every answer. And moving forward does not have to be loud. It does not have to be dramatic. It can begin quietly. It can begin in the way you speak to yourself tonight. It can begin in the way you stop checking what hurts you. It can begin in the way you stop replaying the same conversation in your mind, hoping to find a different ending. It can begin when you place your hand over your heart and tell yourself, I am still here. I still matter. I am allowed to live. Maybe a part of you feels tired of being strong. Maybe you have been strong for so long that you do not even know what soft feels like anymore. You learned to wait, to hope, to explain, to forgive, to give more chances, to see the good in others even when you were breaking inside. But love must also be offered inward. The kindness you gave away so freely must now return to you. The patience you gave to others must now become patience for your own healing. The understanding you gave to people who hurt you must now become understanding for the part of you that stayed too long because it only wanted to be loved. There is nothing wrong with you because you waited. You waited because you cared. You waited because your heart is deep. You waited because you believed in the good. You waited because you wanted things to work. But now you are being invited into a higher love, the kind of love that includes you, the kind of love that says, I can bless what was and still walk toward what can be. I can stop fighting life and start trusting it again. I can stop holding my breath for someone else's decision and begin breathing for myself. Life does not want you frozen in yesterday. Life does not want you living only in memory, pain, regret, or hope that keeps your feet stuck. Life wants to move through you. Life wants to show you new mornings, new people, new peace, new strength, new parts of yourself you have not even met yet. But to receive that, you must stop treating waiting as love. Love is not endless suffering. Love is not losing your own life so someone else can take their time deciding if you are worth showing up for. Love is clear, kind, honest, and safe. And the first place that love must become real is inside you. So today, let this truth meet you gently. You are allowed to stop waiting for what keeps hurting you. You are allowed to stop giving your best energy to what leaves you empty. You are allowed to stop calling confusion your destiny. You are allowed to stop standing outside a closed door when life has placed open paths around you. And you are allowed to begin again, not because everything is easy, but because you are worthy of a life that does not depend on pain to feel meaningful. Say within yourself, I love myself enough to move forward. Let that thought be simple. Let it be clean. Let it enter the places where fear has been living. I love myself enough to move forward. Not because I hate the past, not because I am pretending nothing mattered, not because I have all the answers, but because my life matters now. My peace matters now. My healing matters now. The moment you begin to choose yourself, your energy changes. You stop leaning toward what is leaving. You stop begging life to prove your worth through another person. You stop waiting for the outside world to give you permission to feel enough. You begin to stand in a new truth. I am enough now. I am lovable now. I am worthy now. I do not need to be chosen by what cannot see me. I can choose myself with tenderness. This is where your life starts to open again. Not all at once, perhaps. Not in a way that feels perfect. But little by little, your heart starts to trust you. Your body starts to feel safer. Your mind starts to loosen its grip. The future stops feeling like a dark unknown and begins to feel like a soft invitation. You remember that you are not here to wait forever. You are here to live, to grow, to love, to heal, to create, to become. And maybe this is the exact moment your soul has been waiting for. Not the moment when they change. Not the moment when everything outside becomes certain. Not the moment when the past gives you the ending you wanted. But the moment when you finally turn toward yourself and say, I will not leave you anymore. I will not keep you stuck in pain. I will walk with you. I will care for you. I will help you move forward. That is self-love. It is not selfish. It is sacred. It is the return to your own heart. It is the beginning of a life where you no longer have to beg for crumbs of peace. It is the quiet decision to stop wasting your precious days on what keeps you small and start giving those days to what helps you bloom. Waiting can feel gentle in the beginning. It can feel like hope. It can feel like loyalty. It can feel like faith. You tell yourself, I am being patient. I am giving this time. I am trusting that something will change. And sometimes patience is beautiful. Sometimes waiting is wise. Sometimes life needs space to arrange things in ways the mind cannot see. But there is another kind of waiting, my dear. A waiting that slowly steals your joy. A waiting that closes your heart instead of opening it. a waiting that begins as hope but becomes self-abandonment. You know this kind of waiting by the way it feels in your body. It does not feel peaceful. It feels tight. It feels heavy. It makes your mind search for meaning in every small sign. It makes your heart rise and fall based on someone else's silence, someone else's mood, someone else's choice. It makes you put your own needs aside because you are afraid that if you finally choose yourself, the thing you wanted will disappear forever. But what is truly meant for your peace will not require you to live in constant fear. When you wait too long in the wrong place, your life begins to shrink. You stop making plans because a part of you is still hoping the past will call you back. You stop opening your heart because you are still tied to someone who left you unsure. You stop dreaming freely because your energy is busy holding space for what may never arrive in the form you hoped for. And slowly, without meaning to, you begin to live less. You become careful with your happiness. You become afraid to move too far from the pain, as if your waiting is the only proof that what happened mattered. But love does not need you to suffer to prove it was real. Pain does not become sacred just because you keep carrying it. A memory does not become more meaningful because you refuse to heal from it. You can honor what you felt without letting it hold your future in its hands. You can admit something mattered and still admit that it is time to breathe again. Maybe you are waiting for a message. Maybe your day changes depending on whether the phone lights up. Maybe a small part of you keeps listening for a name, a sound, an apology, a return. You may tell yourself you are fine, but your nervous system knows, your heart knows, your body knows when it is living on the edge of hope and fear. It is tiring to wait for someone else to bring peace into your chest. It is tiring to make another person the gatekeeper of your calm. Or maybe you are not waiting for a person. Maybe you are waiting for life to become perfect before you allow yourself to be happy. You say, I will rest when I achieve more. I will love myself when I look different. I will feel proud when I reach that goal. I will start living when I have more money, more confidence, more success, more certainty. But my dear, if you keep delaying love until everything is perfect, you may spend your whole life standing outside the door of your own heart. You do not need to be complete in the eyes of the world to be worthy of tenderness now. Waiting becomes painful when it turns into a condition for living. When you say, I cannot be happy until this happens. I cannot feel whole until they return. I cannot move forward until they explain. I cannot begin until I feel ready. But life is happening even while you wait. Days are passing. Your heart is learning from what you repeat. Your mind is building a home in whatever story you keep telling it. And if the story is always not yet, not until, not without them, then your whole being begins to believe that life is somewhere else. Life is not somewhere else. Life is here. Even with unanswered questions, even with a heart that still feels tender, even with dreams that are still forming, Even with grief that comes in waves, life is here, touching your shoulder, asking you to return. It is not asking you to forget. It is not asking you to become hard. It is asking you to stop giving your present moment away to what does not have the power to love you back right now. Sometimes the most painful waiting is waiting for closure. You want the right words. You want the truth. You want someone to sit across from you and finally understand how deeply their actions affected you. You want them to say they are sorry, to explain, to regret, to make sense of what left you confused. And it is natural to want that. The heart loves understanding. The mind looks for clear endings. But sometimes the world does not hand you the kind of closure you deserve. Sometimes people leave without the right words. Sometimes they hurt you and never fully understand. Sometimes they cannot give you peace because they do not even know how to carry peace inside themselves. And this is where self-love becomes the doorway. You may not receive the explanation, but you can still free yourself. You may not hear the apology, but you can still stop letting their silence punish you. You may not understand every reason, but you can understand this. You deserve to live. You deserve a mind that is not always searching the past. You deserve a heart that is not always waiting at the same closed door. You deserve to wake up and feel that your life belongs to you again. Waiting too long can make you forget your own beauty. It can make you feel chosen only if someone chooses you. It can make you feel valuable only when life gives you proof. It can make you ask, what is wrong with me? Why was I not enough? Why did this not happen? Why did they not stay? But my dear, someone else's inability to love you clearly is not proof that you are hard to love. A delay in your life is not proof that you are forgotten. A closed door is not proof that nothing good is coming. It is only an invitation to stop measuring your worth by what did not stay. There are people who wait for years in invisible ways. They go to work, they speak, they smile, they do what must be done, but inside they are not fully living. They are waiting to feel safe again. Waiting for the old pain to explain itself. Waiting for a version of life that exists only in memory. Waiting for their confidence to return before they take a step. Waiting for someone else to tell them they are allowed to begin again. And because the waiting is quiet, no one sees how much it costs. It costs joy. It costs energy. It costs self-trust. It costs the ability to be present. It costs the soft excitement that should come with new days. It costs the courage to open new doors. It costs the simple pleasure of being alive without always carrying a shadow from before. And the saddest part is that many people do not realize they are waiting. They call it healing, but they are actually hiding. They call it loyalty, but they are actually afraid. They call it timing, but they are actually standing still in a place that no longer feeds their soul. Healing does need gentleness. Healing does need patience. But healing also needs movement, not rushed movement, not forced movement, not pretending, real movement. The kind that says, I am still tender, But I will not build a prison out of this tenderness. I am still learning, but I will not let fear make every decision. I still remember, but I will not give my whole future to a memory. You are allowed to move forward while you are still healing. You are allowed to smile before everything is solved. You are allowed to receive love before every wound feels closed. You are allowed to create a new life, even if a part of your heart still aches. The ache does not mean you are doing it wrong. It means you are human. But the ache, she does not need to be your leader. Let love lead. Let peace lead. Let self-respect lead. Let the quiet wisdom inside you lead. The pain of waiting too long is that you start to believe waiting is who you are. You become the person who hopes, checks, wonders, remembers, doubts, and stays emotionally available to what is not emotionally available to you. But that is not your true self. That is a pattern. That is a wound trying to finish its story. That is your heart trying to receive love from the same place that taught it pain. And today, you can begin to teach your heart something new. You can teach your heart that love can be safe. You can teach your heart that peace does not need to come from another person's behavior. You can teach your heart that moving forward is not betrayal. You can teach your heart that it is allowed to stop waiting for pain to turn into love. You can teach your heart that it is worthy of clear love, steady love, honest love, present love. And most of all, you can teach your heart that your own love is not small. Your own love is powerful. Your own love is healing. Your own love is the first place you return when the world feels uncertain. Think of the energy you have spent waiting. Think of all the thoughts you have given to what might happen. Think of how many times your mind has walked the same path, asking the same questions, opening the same old door. Now imagine giving even a small part of that energy back to yourself. Imagine using that love to care for your body. Imagine using that attention to build your confidence. Imagine using that tenderness to speak kindly to yourself. Imagine using that hope to open a new chapter instead of standing guard over an old one. Your life begins to change when your energy comes home, not when the other person understands, not when the past becomes fair, not when every answer is clear. Your life begins to change when you stop pouring yourself into what cannot hold you and begin placing your own heart in your own loving hands. This is not easy, but it is freeing. It is the moment you stop asking, "Why did they not choose me?" and begin asking, "How can I choose myself now?" And choosing yourself can feel unfamiliar at first. If you have spent years waiting, peace may feel strange. If you have spent years chasing, stillness may feel uncomfortable. If you have spent years proving your worth, receiving love may feel new. Be gentle with that. The heart needs time to trust a new way, but do not confuse unfamiliar with wrong. Sometimes the right path feels strange, only because you have spent so long walking in pain. You may feel guilt when you begin to move forward. You may think, am I giving up too soon? Am I being unloving? Am I becoming selfish? But ask yourself, is it love to keep hurting yourself? Is it love to keep waiting in a place where your soul feels smaller? Is it love to deny your own needs so another person never has to face their choices? Self-love is not cruelty. Self-love is honesty. It is saying, I can care about you, but I will not disappear for you. I can wish you well, but I will not keep abandoning myself. I can bless the past, but I will not live there. There is a sacred difference between waiting with peace and waiting with pain. Waiting with peace feels open. It allows life to move. It does not demand that one person, one result, one door become the source of everything. Waiting with pain feels like gripping. It feels like fear. It feels like your whole life is tied to one outcome. If your waiting has taken away your peace, your body may be telling you what your mind has been afraid to admit. It may be time to return to yourself. And returning to yourself is not a punishment to anyone else. It is a blessing to your own life. It is the moment you stop living as if your heart must earn a place in the world. It is the moment you realize you were never meant to sit in emotional hunger, hoping someone would feed you with small pieces of attention. You were meant to be nourished by love, by truth, by peace, by your own connection to life. My dear, you are not too late, even if you waited longer than you wish you had. Even if you gave more than you received. Even if you stayed silent when your heart needed to speak. Even if you forgot yourself for a while, you can still come back. Life is not angry with you. Your soul is not judging you. There is no shame in waking up now. There is only grace. There is only the soft invitation to begin again with more wisdom. Let the pain of waiting become a teacher, not a prison. Let it show you where you gave your power away. Let it show you where you confused love with longing. Let it show you where you made someone else's choice more important than your own peace. And then let it guide you home. Not with harshness, not with regret, but with a deep knowing that says, I understand now. I deserve to live now. I deserve to move forward now. You are allowed to stop waiting for the version of someone that only exists in your hope. You are allowed to stop waiting for a life that begins only after everything is fixed. You are allowed to stop waiting for your confidence and build it as you walk. You are allowed to stop waiting for the perfect moment and make this moment sacred by choosing yourself in it. And as you begin to do this, you may feel something quiet but powerful. Space. Space in your chest. Space in your thoughts. Space in your mornings. Space where anxiety used to live. Space where longing used to sit. Space where life can finally enter again. This space is not emptiness. it is freedom. It is the place where new love can grow. It is the place where peace can breathe. It is the place where your true self can speak. Do not be afraid of that space. At first, it may feel lonely because you are used to filling it with waiting, but soon it will begin to feel peaceful. Soon you will realize that what you thought was loss was also room. Room for your own dream. AMs, room for better love. Room for rest. Room for joy. Room for the person you are becoming. So let this section of your life be the one where you stop confusing waiting with devotion. Let this be the moment where you say, I will not keep giving my life away to uncertainty. I will not keep feeding my pain with my attention. I will not keep postponing my happiness until someone else is ready. I choose my own healing. I choose my own peace. I choose to love myself enough to move forward. The present moment is where your life comes back to you. Not yesterday, not the memory you keep replaying, not the future you keep trying to predict, not the answer you hope will arrive. Right here, this breath, this body, this quiet place inside you that still knows how to begin again. The present moment may look simple, but it carries all your power because it is the only place where you can choose a new thought, speak a kinder word, release an old story, and take your energy back from what has been hurting you. The past can teach you, but it cannot hold you unless you keep living there. The future can inspire you, but it cannot save you unless you meet it with the choices you make now. Your power is not in trying to change what already happened. Your power is not in trying to control what has not yet come. Your power is in the gentle decision you make in this moment. I am here. I am breathing. I am willing to return to myself. So many people lose their peace because they are never fully where they are. Their body is in today, but their mind is in an old conversation. Their heart is in the morning, but their fear is already in tomorrow. Their eyes are looking at the world, but their thoughts are searching for signs, proof, danger, disappointment, or loss. This is why waiting becomes so painful. It pulls your spirit out of the now and places it somewhere you cannot touch. And when your spirit is not here, life feels empty, even when blessings are near. But you can come back. You can always come back. Not by force, not by fighting your mind, not by judging yourself for wandering. You come back through kindness. You come back by noticing the room around you. You come back by feeling your body supported. You come back by softening your shoulders and telling your heart, we are not there anymore. We are here now. We are safe enough to begin from here. This moment does not ask you to solve your whole life. It does not ask you to understand every delay, every heartbreak, every closed door, every unanswered prayer. It only asks you to meet it honestly. Can you be here with yourself without running back to the pain? Can you give this moment a little more love than fear? Can you stop treating the present as something to survive until the future finally rescues you? There is a quiet freedom in realizing that you do not need the whole road to move forward. You do not need to know how everything will unfold. You do not need to feel perfectly strong. You do not need to feel nothing for the past. You only need to decide that this moment will not be wasted. This moment can hold a softer thought. This moment can hold a small act of care. This moment can hold the beginning of your return. Maybe today you cannot make a big change. That is all right. Maybe today your heart still feels tender. That is all right. Maybe today you still miss what you are trying to release. That is all right too. Healing does not require you to become someone else immediately. Healing asks you to stop rejecting yourself while you are becoming. It asks you to stand in the present with all your feelings and still choose love. When you bring your awareness into this moment, you begin to see what is real and what is only a story. The mind may say, "I will never be happy again." But this moment says, "You are breathing." The mind may say, "Nothing good is coming." But this moment says, "You do not know that." The mind may say, "You are alone." But this moment says, "Life is still holding you." The mind may say, "You cannot move forward." But this moment says, "You can take the next gentle step." The present moment is not always comfortable, especially when you have been avoiding your own pain. Sometimes being present means feeling what you tried to outrun. It means noticing the ache in your chest, the tiredness in your body, the sadness you covered with busyness. But feeling is not failure. Feeling is how the heart becomes honest again. And once the heart becomes honest, it can begin to heal. You do not need to fear your feelings. They are not here to destroy you. They are messages. They are movements of energy. They are parts of you asking to be seen with love. Sadness may be asking for comfort. Anger may be asking for truth. Fear may be asking for safety. Longing may be asking you to return to your own heart. When you stop running from these feelings, they stop chasing you. When you meet them with kindness, they begin to soften. Tell yourself, "I can be with myself now. I do not need to escape this moment. I do not need to punish myself for what I feel. I can be here, and being here is enough for now." These words may sound simple, but they carry deep healing. For many people, the deepest wound is not only what happened, it is the way they left themselves afterward, the way they judged their own pain, the way they told themselves they should be over it, the way they kept waiting for someone else to comfort the wound they were afraid to touch with their own love. But now you are learning a new way. You are learning to sit beside yourself with tenderness. You are learning to say, "I understand why I waited. I understand why I hoped. I understand why I was afraid. And I am here now. I will not shame myself for loving. I will not shame myself for hurting. I will simply guide myself forward with more care than before. The present moment is also where forgiveness begins. Not the kind of forgiveness that excuses everything. Not the kind that asks you to pretend you were not hurt. True forgiveness begins as a release of the heavy grip the past has had on your mind. It is the moment you say, I may not understand it all, but I will not keep drinking this pain every day. I will not keep letting this memory decide how I see myself. I will not keep giving yesterday the right to steal today. Forgiveness may begin with yourself. Forgive yourself for waiting. Forgive yourself for not knowing sooner. Forgive yourself for ignoring the signs because your heart wanted hope. Forgive yourself for staying in thoughts that hurt you. Forgive yourself for wanting love from places that were not ready to give it. You were learning. You were human. You were doing the best you could with the awareness you had. Now you have more awareness, and with that awareness, you can choose differently. This is the beauty of the present moment. It does not care how many times you forgot your worth before. It offers itself again. It does not say you failed yesterday, so you cannot begin today. It opens like a clean page. It says, what will you write now? What will you believe now? How will you speak to yourself now? Where will you place your energy now? Your mind may want to run ahead and ask, but what if I cannot keep going? What if I fall back? What if I miss them? What if I feel weak again? And the answer is simple and kind. Then you return again. That is all. Healing is not about never feeling pain. It is about no longer letting pain be the only voice you follow. Moving forward is not about never looking back. It is about looking back with compassion, then turning again toward your own life. You are allowed to move slowly. You are allowed to have tender days. You are allowed to feel strong in the morning and tired by night. You are allowed to take your healing in a human way. But even slowly, you can still move. Even tenderly, you can still choose peace. Even with tears in your eyes, you can still say, I will not waste this life waiting for what keeps me away from myself. Look at what this moment is offering you. It is offering a chance to stop the old inner conversation. It is offering a chance to stop asking why you were not enough and begin remembering that you were always enough. It is offering a chance to stop living in reaction to what happened and start living in devotion to what is still possible. It is offering a chance to come back to your own heart, not later, not when everything feels perfect, but now. This moment may be quiet, but quiet moments change lives. A person does not always transform through one grand event. Often, change begins in a small inner decision that no one else sees. The decision to stop checking. The decision to stop begging for clarity from confusion. The decision to stop speaking cruelly to yourself. The decision to stop calling yourself foolish for loving deeply. The decision to stop letting the past be the first thing you feed every morning. And then, little by little, your life begins to answer. You feel lighter in places you once felt heavy. You notice that the urge to look back is not as strong as before. You begin to enjoy small things again. Your mind rests for longer periods. Your body feels less tight. You start to hear your own dreams again. You start to remember who you were before the waiting became your identity. You start to feel life reaching for you, not because everything outside has changed, but because something inside has opened. The present moment is the doorway into that opening. It is where you stop asking life to prove that you can begin and simply begin. It is where you stop waiting for confidence and practice being kind to yourself. It is where you stop waiting for closure and choose peace. It is where you stop waiting for love and become loving toward yourself. It is where you stop waiting for permission and give yourself the blessing to live again. So let this truth become a steady light within you. You do not have to wait for the past to become different before you can be free. You do not have to wait for someone else to understand before you can heal. You do not have to wait for every fear to disappear before you can take a loving step. Your life is here. Your power is here. Your next beginning is here. Tell yourself, I choose this moment. I choose my peace. I choose to return to myself. I am allowed to begin again from here. Let those words settle into you. Let them replace the old belief that your life must wait. Nothing sacred is lost when you choose yourself. What is real will meet you in truth. What is meant for your soul will not require you to abandon your soul. And if the mind still pulls you backward, do not fight it harshly. Speak to it with love. Say thank you for trying to protect me, but I am safe enough to move forward now. Thank you for remembering, but I am ready to live now. Thank you for showing me what hurt, but I am ready to choose what heals. The mind softens when it is led with compassion. The heart opens when it is held with patience. The body relaxes when it feels that you are no longer at war with yourself. This moment is not small. It is alive with possibility. It holds the seed of a new way of being. It holds the first step back to peace. It holds the gentle strength to stop waiting and start living. You may not see the full path yet, but you can feel the truth of this step. You are here. You are breathing. You are worthy. You are not too late. And you can choose yourself now. Loving yourself is the moment everything begins to change. Not because the whole world changes in one day, not because the past suddenly becomes fair, not because the people who hurt you suddenly understand. It changes because you stop standing against yourself. You stop using your own heart as a place of judgment. You stop treating yourself like someone who must wait to be worthy. You begin to understand that the love you kept searching for outside of you was also asking to be awakened inside you. For so long, you may have believed that love would come from someone choosing you, staying with you, proving your value, or giving you the peace you never received. You may have believed that if they loved you better, you would finally feel safe. If they explained themselves, you would finally feel calm. If they came back, you would finally feel whole. But my love, no one outside of you can become the foundation of your soul. People can love you. People can bless your life. People can walk beside you. But they cannot do the inner work of returning you to yourself. That sacred return belongs to you. This is why self-love is not a small thing. It is not a pretty idea. It is not something you say only when life feels easy. Self-love is the place where your healing begins. It is the quiet decision to stop leaving yourself behind. It is the moment you say, I have spent enough time asking why I was not chosen. Now I will choose myself. I have spent enough time trying to prove I am worthy. Now I will treat myself as worthy. I have spent enough time waiting for love to arrive from a place that made me feel unsure. Now I will become a safe place for my own heart. You may wonder what it means to love yourself when you still feel hurt, when you still miss someone, when your mind still carries old questions. Loving yourself does not mean you feel nothing. It does not mean you erase your past. It does not mean you become perfectly strong. It means you stop punishing yourself for being human. It means you stop speaking to your own heart as if it failed because it loved deeply. It means you stop calling yourself foolish for having hope. It means you hold the tender parts of yourself with the same kindness you would give to someone you truly care about. You are allowed to say, I waited because I cared, and now I move because I matter. You are allowed to say, I loved with the heart I had, and now I will heal with the wisdom I have gained. You are allowed to say, I do not regret having a deep heart, but I will no longer give my deep heart to places that make me feel invisible. This is not bitterness. This is self-respect. This is your soul learning the difference between love and attachment, between patience and self-abandonment, between hope and holding on to pain. Loving yourself means you no longer make your worth depend on someone else's ability to see it. You stop asking, why did they not value me? And begin asking, how can I value myself now? You stop asking, why did they not protect my heart? And begin asking, how can I protect my heart with love now? You stop asking, why did they leave me waiting? And begin asking, where have I been waiting to give myself the care I need? These questions do not make you smaller. They bring your power back. Your worth was never in another person's hands. It was never in a message, a relationship, an apology, a job, a title, a number, a result, or a perfect version of life. Your worth is part of you. It came with you, has been inside you through every season, even when you forgot it, even when someone treated you as if it was not there, even when fear made you doubt yourself, even when rejection made you question everything. Your worth did not disappear. It only waited for you to remember. And perhaps this is the deepest truth. You do not become worthy when you are loved by someone else. You begin to receive healthier love when you remember you are already worthy. When you forget your worth, you may accept confusion as love. You may accept crumbs and call them hope. You may accept distance and call it timing. You may accept being emotionally hungry because you believe something small is better than nothing at all. But when you love yourself, your heart begins to recognize the difference. It begins to say, "This does not feel like peace. This does not feel like respect. This does not feel like home." Self-love gives you new eyes. You begin to see where you were overgiving. You begin to see where you were explaining your pain to someone who was not listening. You begin to see where you were waiting for someone to become tender while you were becoming tired. You begin to see where you kept lowering your needs because you were afraid that having needs would push love away. And then gently you begin to rise. Not above others with pride, but above old patterns with wisdom. You do not have to hate anyone to love yourself. You do not have to blame anyone to choose peace. You do not have to become cold to stop waiting. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is release the need for someone to be different before you allow yourself to heal. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is bless what you learned and stop trying to live inside what hurt you. Sometimes the most sacred thing you can do is turn toward yourself and say, "I am here now. I will not abandon you anymore." Maybe you have been kinder to others than you have ever been to yourself. You understood their wounds. You gave space for their mistakes. You excused their distance. You saw their pain. You waited for them to grow. You gave them time, patience, and softness. But when it came to you, you judged yourself harshly. You asked why you were not over it. You blamed yourself for still caring. You told yourself you should have known better. My love, can you see how unfair that is? Can you see how much tenderness you have given away while denying it to your own heart? The love you gave outward must now come home. The patience you gave to others must now become patience with your own healing. The forgiveness you offered to people who were still learning must now become forgiveness for the version of you who did not know how to leave sooner, speak sooner, choose sooner, rest sooner. You were learning too. You were growing too. You were doing the best you could with the love, fear, and understanding you had at the time. Now you know more. Now you can choose differently. Self-love does not ask you to become perfect. It asks you to become honest. Honest about what hurts. Honest about what drains you. Honest about where you have been waiting for someone else to give you what you must now begin giving yourself. Honest about the places where you have confused longing with love. Honest about the ways you have stayed small because you were afraid of losing what was already not fully holding you. This honesty may feel tender, but it is not here to shame you. It is here to free you. When you love yourself, you begin to speak differently inside your own mind. You stop saying, "I am unwanted," and begin saying, "I am returning to myself." You stop saying, "I was not enough," and begin saying, "I was offering love in a place that could not fully receive it." You stop saying, "I lost everything," and begin saying, "I am making space for what is honest, peaceful, and aligned." The words you choose matter because your inner world listens, your body listens, your heart listens, your future listens. There is great power in the way you speak to yourself when no one else hears. That private voice shapes your life more than you may realize. If that voice is cruel, the world feels heavier. If that voice is loving, even hard days become easier to carry. So begin to change the voice. Let it become your friend. Let it become the voice you needed when you felt alone. Let it say, I am proud of you for still being here. I am proud of you for wanting peace. I am proud of you for learning to move forward. I am proud of you for choosing love without losing yourself again. Loving yourself also means learning to trust your own feelings. If something keeps making you anxious, listen. If something keeps making you feel small, listen. If something asks you to betray your peace to keep it, listen. Your body often knows before your mind is ready to admit the truth. The tight chest, the heavy stomach, the tired heart, the constant wondering, these are not random. They are messages from the deeper part of you that wants safety, honesty, and rest. For a long time, you may have ignored those messages because hope was louder. You may have told yourself, it is not that bad. I can wait. I can understand. I can handle it. But self-love says, I do not have to handle what keeps hurting me just because I can. I do not have to be strong in places where I am being slowly drained. I do not have to stay available to what makes me forget myself. Self-love gives you permission to honor your own peace without asking the whole world to agree. You are not selfish for wanting love that feels clear. You are not selfish for needing respect. You are not selfish for needing consistency, kindness, truth, and emotional safety. These are not too much. These are human needs. The part of you that thinks your needs are too much may have learned that from people who benefited when you had none. But today, that belief can begin to soften. You are allowed to need. You are allowed to ask. You are allowed to walk away when your heart is treated like an option instead of a living, feeling part of you. Self-love is the turning point because it changes what you are willing to repeat. Without self-love, you may keep returning to the same pain because familiar pain can feel safer than unknown peace. With self-love, you begin to choose differently, even when it feels new. You choose the conversation that brings truth. You choose the boundary that protects your energy. You choose the quiet night instead of the painful checking. You choose the future that feels peaceful instead of the past that keeps pulling you back. And yes, it may feel difficult at first. Choosing yourself can feel like loss when you are used to choosing others. Peace can feel empty when your body is used to drama. Calm can feel unfamiliar when your nervous system has been living in hope and fear. But do not mistake unfamiliar peace for loneliness. Sometimes peace feels strange only because pain was familiar for too long. Give yourself time to learn the sound of calm. Give your heart time to trust safety. Give your body time to understand that love does not have to feel like chasing. As you love yourself more, you will not need to beg life so much. You will not need to chase every sign. You will not need to force people to see what they are not ready to see. You will begin to understand that what belongs in your life will meet you with truth, not confusion. What is meant to grow with you will not require you to shrink. What is aligned with your heart will not punish you for having one. And what cannot love you clearly is not the final word on your lovability. Let this become your inner foundation. I am worthy before I am chosen. I am whole before I am understood. I am lovable before anyone proves it. I am enough in this moment. I am allowed to move forward with love. These thoughts are not empty words. They are new seeds. When you give them your attention, they begin to grow. When you return to them often, they begin to replace the old story. And soon, the mind that once searched for rejection begins to recognize peace. Loving yourself is not a single act. It is a way of living. It is how you wake up and speak to yourself. It is what you allow into your energy. It is what you stop explaining. It is how you comfort yourself when sadness comes. It is how you guide yourself away from what reopens the wound. It is how you keep choosing your future even when the past tries to call your name. You are not here to wait forever. You are not here to lose yourself in someone else's silence. You are not here to prove your value to people who only recognize it when you are leaving. You are here to love, yes, but to love in a way that includes you. You are here to heal, grow, receive, create, and walk forward with a heart that is no longer begging to be chosen because it has finally been chosen by you. There are burdens the hands do not carry, but the heart carries them every day. Old words, old memories, old hopes, old guilt, old disappointment, a conversation that never felt finished, a love that never became safe, a dream that did not unfold in the way you prayed it would. These things may not be visible to the world, but your body knows their weight. Your mind knows how often it returns to them. Your heart knows how tired it is from holding what was never meant to become a permanent home. To release what keeps you emotionally stuck, you do not need to become hard. You do not need to pretend you do not care. You do not need to erase the past or deny that something mattered. Release is not rejection of your own feelings. Release is an act of mercy toward your soul. It is the loving decision to stop carrying pain as proof of love. It is the quiet understanding that what happened may be part of your story, but it does not need to be the place where your life stops. Many people are afraid to release because they think release means the love was not real. But real love does not require endless suffering. You can release the grip and still honor the meaning. You can stop waiting and still admit that it mattered. You can let go of the pain without denying the lessons. You can move forward without turning the past into an enemy. Release simply means you are no longer willing to keep hurting yourself with what has already hurt you. Sometimes what keeps you stuck is not the person or the event itself. It is the story you built around it. The story that says, I was not enough. The story that says, I always lose what I love. The story that says, I cannot trust life. The story that says, if they did not choose me, no one will. These stories can become heavier than what actually happened. They can follow you into new days, new places, new chances, and whisper old fear over fresh beginnings. But stories can be rewritten when you bring love and awareness to them. You are not the pain that happened to you. You are not the rejection you felt. You are not the silence you received. You are not the delay that tested you. You are not the ending that broke your heart open. You are the one who lived through it. You are the one who is still here. You are the one with the power to decide that the story will not end in loss, but in return. Return to yourself. Return to peace. Return to trust. Return to life. What keeps many hearts stuck is the secret hope that if they keep holding on, the past will finally become different. Maybe if you think about it enough, you will understand. Maybe if you stay emotionally available enough, someone will return with the right words. Maybe if you keep the door open long enough, life will reward your loyalty. But my love, healing does not come from standing forever in the doorway of what hurt you. Healing begins when you stop asking the wound to become your home. You may be holding on to guilt. Guilt for what you said. Guilt for what you did not say. Guilt for staying. Guilt for leaving. Guilt for loving. Guilt for trusting. Guilt for not knowing then what you know now. But guilt does not heal the past. Guilt does not protect the future. Guilt only keeps your heart tied to a version of yourself that was still learning. You are allowed to learn without punishing yourself forever. You are allowed to grow without dragging shame behind you. Tell yourself, I did not know everything then. I was learning. I was trying. I was human. I can take the lesson without keeping the punishment. Let those words become medicine for the part of you that still looks back with regret. You cannot go backward and become who you are now. You can only bring who you are now into this moment and choose with more tenderness, more honesty, and more wisdom. That is enough. That is how healing moves. You may also be holding on to anger. Anger that someone did not care for your heart. Anger that they wasted your time. Anger that you gave so much and received confusion. Anger that life did not unfold as you expected. Anger is not wrong. It often rises when a boundary was crossed, when a truth was ignored, when a part of you finally realizes it deserved better. But anger is not meant to become the place where you live. It is meant to bring you information, strength, and movement. It is meant to help you stop betraying yourself, not to keep your spirit burning forever. Let your anger teach you where you need respect. Let it show you where you must stop overgiving. Let it give you the courage to choose peace, but do not let it take over the home of your heart. You deserve more than a life built around what hurt you. You deserve softness again. You deserve laughter again. You deserve mornings that do not begin with old pain. You deserve to feel that your energy belongs to you. You may be holding on to fear, fear that if you let go, nothing better will come. Fear that if you stop waiting, you will lose the last connection. Fear that if you choose yourself, you will be alone. Fear that moving forward means closing a door forever. But fear does not always tell the truth. Fear often speaks from old wounds, not from divine wisdom. Fear tries to keep you near what is familiar, even when what is familiar is hurting you. Love speaks differently. Love says you can trust yourself. You can walk forward. You can be held by life in new ways. Release begins when you stop letting fear make every decision. Not by fighting fear, but by leading it gently. You can say inside, I know you are trying to protect me, but I am safe enough to choose peace. I know the unknown feels frightening, but staying stuck is hurting me too. I know the past feels familiar, but my future is asking for space. Fear may still come with you for a while, but it does not have to lead the way. Sometimes emotional stuckness feels like loyalty. You may feel that moving forward means betraying someone, betraying a memory, betraying a dream. But staying in pain is not the same as honoring love. You can honor love by becoming wiser. You can honor the past by learning from it. You can honor what mattered by allowing it to shape you without letting it chain you. A love that was real does not need you to suffer forever. The lesson that was real does not need you to remain frozen. Imagine your heart as a room that has been filled with old boxes. Some are marked regret. Some are marked hope. Some are marked fear. Some are marked what if. Some are marked why. For a long time, you may have kept these boxes because you did not know what else to do with them. But now you are ready to make space. You do not have to throw everything away with force. You simply begin opening the room. You let light in. You see what you have been storing. You decide what belongs in your future and what was only meant to teach you. There may be memories that still carry love. Keep the wisdom, release the ache. There may be dreams that still matter. Keep the desire. Release the one fixed way you thought it had to happen. There may be people you still care about. Keep the blessing. Release the need to lose yourself for them. There may be parts of yourself you feel sad for. Keep the compassion. Release the shame. This is how you become free, not by cutting away your past with anger, but by transforming your relationship to it. You stop making it your identity. You stop letting it decide what you deserve. You stop letting it become the lens through which you see every new chance. You begin to say, that was a chapter, not my whole life. That was a lesson, not my final truth. That was pain, but it was not my destiny. Your energy is precious. Every time you replay the old story, you give it more life. Every time you imagine what should have happened, you feed what cannot be changed. Every time you wait for someone else to repair what they broke inside you, you delay the love you can give yourself now. This does not mean you are wrong for grieving. It means your grief deserves movement, care, and light. It deserves to become wisdom, not a cage. There is a part of you that is ready to stop carrying what has become too heavy. You can feel it. It may be small, but it is there. It is the part of you that is tired of checking, tired of wondering, tired of pretending you are fine while your heart keeps returning to the same place, tired of giving energy to what gives nothing back. That tiredness is not weakness. It is your soul asking for a new way. Listen to that part of you. It is not asking you to become someone you are not. It is asking you to come home to who you have always been, beneath the waiting, beneath the fear, beneath the need to be chosen. You are not only the one who was hurt, you are the one who can heal. You are not only the one who waited, you are the one who can rise. You are not only the one who lost something, you are the one who can receive more life. Letting go can feel like an emptying, but it is also a making room. You release the old belief, and space opens for truth. You release the old attachment, and space opens for peace. You release the need to control, and space opens for trust. You release the shame, and space opens for self-love. You release what keeps you small, and space opens for the version of you that has been waiting beneath all the pain. And when space opens, life can enter. New thoughts enter. New strength enters. New dreams enter. You may start noticing small signs of yourself returning. A little more calm, a little more energy, a little more interest in your own life, a little more desire to care for your body, a little more courage to say no, a little more willingness to believe that the future can still be kind. These small shifts matter. They are evidence that your heart is no longer fully trapped in yesterday. Do not rush this process. The heart releases in layers. Some days you may feel free, and some days the old feeling may visit again. This does not mean you are going backward. It means another layer is asking for love. Meet it with patience. Meet it with honesty. Meet it with the truth that you are allowed to keep choosing peace as many times as you need. Healing is not ruined by a tender day. Moving forward is not canceled by a memory. Whenever old pain rises, you can speak gently within yourself. I see this feeling. I understand why it is here, but I do not need to build my life around it anymore. I can feel this and still choose myself. I can remember and still move forward. I can care and still be free. These words help the heart understand that release is not rejection. Release is safety. Release is self-love in motion. You do not need to carry every old word spoken over you. You do not need to keep every opinion that made you doubt yourself. You do not need to keep every failure as proof that you cannot begin again. You do not need to keep every rejection as a mirror of your worth. You are allowed to clear your inner space. You are allowed to decide that your mind will no longer be a storage room for pain that has already served its lesson. Start with the belief that hurts the most. Maybe it is, I am not enough. Let love answer, I have always been enough, even while learning. Maybe it is, I was left behind. Let love answer, I am being guided forward. Maybe it is, I wasted my life waiting. Let love answer, I can begin now with more wisdom. Maybe it is, nothing better will come. Let love answer, I do not know all that life is preparing, but I am open to good again. You are not required to believe every new thought fully at first. Let them enter anyway. Let them sit beside the old thoughts. Let them become familiar. The mind changes when it receives a new message with gentleness and consistency. Your heart has heard enough fear. It has heard enough blame. It has heard enough waiting. Now let it hear love. Let it hear possibility. Let it hear, I am safe to release what no longer supports my peace. Release is not the end of love. It is the beginning of freedom. It is the moment you stop holding life with closed hands. It is the moment you let your soul breathe again. It is the moment you understand that the past does not need to be destroyed, but it also does not need to be worshipped. It can be honored, learned from, blessed, and left behind with grace. You are allowed to put down the heavy bag. You are allowed to stop carrying old pain as if it is your responsibility to keep it alive. You are allowed to stop waiting for what keeps you emotionally tied to uncertainty. You are allowed to open your hands and say, I release what drains me. I release what confuses me. I release what keeps me small. I make room for peace, love, truth, and movement. And as you release, you will feel your life returning. Not always quickly, not always loudly, but surely. The parts of you that felt buried will begin to rise. The dreams that felt distant will begin to whisper again. The peace that felt impossible will begin to visit. The love you thought you had lost will begin to grow from inside you. This is the gift of release. It does not take your life away. It gives your life back to you. One of the hardest things to release is the need for closure from someone who may never give it. The heart wants answers. It wants the story to make sense. It wants the person who caused confusion to return with honesty, tenderness, and understanding. It wants to hear, I see what happened. I understand how you felt. I am sorry. You mattered. Your pain was real. And because those words would feel so healing, you may keep waiting for them. You may keep hoping that peace will finally come when someone else says the right thing. But my love, Your peace cannot be locked inside another person's mouth. Your freedom cannot depend on someone else becoming aware. Your healing cannot wait forever for someone who may not know how to meet you with the truth you deserve. Sometimes people cannot give closure because they do not have it within themselves. Sometimes they avoid truth because it would ask them to face their own choices. Sometimes they stay silent because silence is easier than responsibility. Sometimes they do not understand the depth of what they caused. And sometimes, even if they did return with words, those words still would not give you back the time, energy, and peace you lost while waiting. This is not meant to make you hopeless. It is meant to bring your power home. Because if closure must come from them, then you remain tied to their timing, their growth, their courage, their willingness. But if closure can begin inside you, then your heart is no longer trapped. You can stop standing at the door of another person's awareness. You can stop making their apology the key to your future. You can stop asking their silence to become a bridge. You can build your own bridge now, one loving thought at a time. Closure does not always arrive as a conversation. Sometimes closure arrives as a deep knowing. It arrives when you finally admit, this pattern hurt me. It arrives when you stop defending what broke your peace. It arrives when you stop needing the person who confused you to explain confusion. It arrives when you realize that their inability to love you clearly is already an answer. It arrives when you understand that you do not need one more wound to prove that it is time to choose yourself. Maybe the answer you were waiting for has been showing itself all along, not through words, but through behavior. The distance was an answer. The inconsistency was an answer. The lack of care was an answer. The way your body felt around the situation was an answer. The way you kept feeling anxious, unsure, and unseen was an answer. And while that answer may not be the one your heart wanted, it may be the one your soul needed to finally stop begging for clarity from a place that kept giving you confusion. This is where self-love becomes brave. It says, I do not need to keep asking why someone could not love me the way I needed. I can simply accept that I need love that feels safe. I do not need to keep proving that my pain was real. I can believe myself. I do not need to wait for someone else to name what happened. I can name it with honesty. I do not need their closure to begin my peace. I can give peace to myself by no longer returning to what keeps reopening the wound. You may feel resistance to this. A part of you may say, but I deserve an explanation. And yes, you may. You may deserve kindness. You may deserve honesty. You may deserve a real conversation. You may deserve an apology that is sincere and clear. But deserving something does not always mean the person who owes it has the capacity to give it. And if they do not give it, must your life remain frozen? Must your heart stay loyal to their silence? Must your future wait because someone else has not learned how to be accountable? No, your life is too sacred for that. Your peace is too important for that. Your heart has already waited long enough. You can honor your desire for answers without letting that desire become a chain. You can say, I deserved better, and I still choose to move forward. You can say, I wish it had ended with more care, and I will now give care to myself. You can say, I may never receive the apology, but I will not let the absence of it turn me against my own life. Sometimes waiting for closure is really waiting for permission to stop hurting. But you do not need permission. You do not need the person who hurt you to approve your healing. You do not need them to agree with your experience before your experience becomes valid. If it hurt you, it mattered. If it confused you, it affected you. If it changed the way you saw yourself, it deserves compassion. You can give yourself that compassion now. You can sit with your own heart and say, I believe you. I know you were hurt. I know you tried. I know you waited because you wanted love to win. I know you hoped because your heart is beautiful. But now I will not keep you in pain to prove that your love was real. I will protect you. I will comfort you. I will guide you forward. These are the words many hearts are waiting to hear, not from someone else, but from within. Closure begins when you stop arguing with reality, not because reality was fair, not because it was easy, but because arguing with what happened keeps you tied to what cannot be changed. You can wish things were different. You can grieve. You can feel the sadness of the ending. But there comes a time when you must stop reopening the same inner trial, presenting the same evidence, asking the same question, hoping for a different sentence. At some point, peace says enough, not with anger, with mercy. Enough replaying the moment they changed. Enough searching for hidden meanings in silence. Enough asking whether you were too much or not enough. Enough giving your best thoughts to someone who is not helping your heart heal. Enough making your nervous system live in the past. Enough abandoning today because yesterday did not end the way you wanted. This enough is not harsh. It is holy. It is the voice of your soul saying, I am ready to come back. You may have thought closure means understanding every reason, but sometimes peace comes when you stop needing every reason. There are things the mind may never fully solve. Why someone acted the way they did. Why timing unfolded the way it did. Why love came close and then became painful. Why you had to learn through heartbreak. The mind wants a perfect answer, but the soul often heals through acceptance. Acceptance does not mean you liked what happened. It means you stop making your peace depend on changing it. The truth is, some chapters close quietly. No final speech, no perfect explanation, no gentle goodbye. Just a slow realization that staying emotionally tied to the chapter is costing too much. You may not get the ending you wanted, but you can create the ending your heart needs. An ending where you stop blaming yourself. An ending where you stop chasing clarity from someone who keeps creating confusion. An ending where you stop waiting for another person to confirm what your soul already knows. An ending where you choose peace over endless questioning. And peace may feel unfamiliar if you have been living in emotional noise. You may even miss the cycle for a while, not because it was good for you, but because it was known. The mind can become attached to what it keeps repeating. It can confuse intensity with love, anxiety with connection, longing with destiny. But peace is not boring. Peace is not empty. Peace is the ground where real love can grow. Peace is the space where your true self returns. Peace is what your heart was asking for beneath all the waiting. Give yourself peace by no longer asking painful places to become safe. Give yourself peace by no longer explaining your worth to people committed to misunderstanding it. Give yourself peace by no longer checking for signs that reopen the ache. Give yourself peace by choosing thoughts that heal instead of thoughts that keep you tied to, old pain. Give yourself peace by allowing the answer to be simple. I deserve more than confusion. This does not mean you close your heart. It means you stop leaving it unprotected. It means you understand that an open heart still needs wisdom. You can remain loving without remaining available to harm. You can remain soft without staying stuck. You can wish someone well without giving them access to your inner world. You can forgive without returning. You can care without waiting. This is mature love. This is self-love with roots. The mind may still ask, what if they come back with the words I wanted? If that day ever comes, you can meet it from a place of wholeness, not hunger. But do not build your life around a maybe. Do not keep your soul standing still for a possibility that may never become peace. If truth comes, you will know how to receive it. If it does not, you will still be free. That is the power of giving closure to yourself. You are allowed to decide that the waiting ends here. Not because you have every answer, but because you have enough truth to choose peace. You are allowed to stop making your healing depend on someone else's growth. You are allowed to stop needing the past to explain itself before you can live again. You are allowed to say, I release the need for the perfect ending. I accept the lesson. I choose my peace. I move forward with love. There is a quiet dignity in this choice. It does not need to be announced. It does not need to be proven. It happens inside you. It happens when you no longer reach for the same old pain. It happens when you notice the thought and choose not to follow it. It happens when you feel the longing and still care for yourself. It happens when you choose not to make contact with what keeps you confused. It happens when you let the silence remain silent and stop asking it to become love. And as you do this, you begin to feel your power return. You remember that you can comfort yourself. You remember that you can make decisions from peace. You remember that you are not helpless in your own inner world. You remember that your heart can heal even without the apology. You remember that life can still bring beauty even after an ending that felt unfinished. Closure is not always something you receive. Sometimes it is something you create. You create it when you stop feeding the question. You create it when you honor the answer that behavior already gave. You create it when you choose your well-being over your need to understand every detail. You create it when you speak gently to the part of you still waiting and say, "We are going home now." Home is not the past. Home is not the person who left you unsure. Home is not the dream that made you forget your own needs. Home is your own heart. Home is the place inside you where you are safe, loved, seen, and guided. Home is where you no longer need to beg for peace. Home is where you remember that you can belong to yourself. Let this truth settle deeply. You do not need someone else to finish the sentence before you can begin a new page. You can end the waiting with love. You can bless yourself with peace. You can stop asking the old door to open and turn toward the path that has been waiting for your feet. You can carry forward the wisdom and leave behind the wound. You can be grateful for what you learned and still refuse to live in what hurt. Your peace is not a prize someone else gives you. It is a choice you return to again and again with tenderness. It is the way you protect your mind. It is the way you speak to your heart. It is the way you stop chasing what makes you feel small. It is the way you allow life to show you new forms of love, new forms of safety, new forms of joy. So give yourself the closure you were waiting for. Not by pretending it did not hurt, but by deciding that the hurt does not get to own the rest of your life. Not by denying the love, but by choosing a love that includes you. Not by forcing yourself to forget, but by remembering yourself more deeply than you remember the pain. Say within your heart, "I no longer wait for someone else to free me. I give myself permission to heal. I give myself permission to move forward. I give myself permission to choose peace, even without every answer." Let those words become a doorway. Let them open into a life where your heart is no longer held hostage by what someone else could not give. Let them guide you into the quiet strength of a person who has finally understood. My peace belongs to me. Moving forward does not mean you must suddenly become fearless. It does not mean you must run toward a new life with no sadness, no memory, no tenderness left inside you. Moving forward means you begin to give your energy back to the life that is still here. It means you stop making your heart live only in what was lost, what was delayed, what was never explained, or what did not choose you clearly. It means you take your own hand with love and say, "We can begin from here." You do not need to force your future. You do not need to demand that everything become clear today. You do not need to prove to anyone that you are healed. You do not need to become strong in a hard way. The future does not open through pressure. It opens through trust, through self-respect, through quiet choices that bring your soul back into peace. You can move forward softly. You can move forward with a heart that still feels. You can move forward while still learning how to trust yourself again. Sometimes people stay stuck because they believe moving forward must look dramatic. They imagine they must change everything at once, forget everything at once, become confident at once, feel ready at once. But healing does not work that way. Life often changes through small, honest choices repeated with love. A kinder thought, a calmer morning, a decision not to return to what drains you, a choice to care for your body, a choice to speak to yourself with gentleness instead of blame. These choices may look quiet, but they are powerful. They are how your future begins to form. Do not underestimate the sacred power of a small, loving movement. When you stop checking what hurts you, you are moving forward. When you stop explaining yourself to people who do not listen, you are moving forward. When you rest instead of punishing yourself, you are moving forward. When you choose a peaceful thought over an old painful story, you are moving forward. When you let yourself enjoy something without guilt, you are moving forward. When you wake and decide that your life deserves your attention today, you are moving forward. Moving forward does not ask you to reject your past. It asks you to stop letting the past sit in the center of your life. The past can become a teacher, but it was never meant to become your home. You can bring the lesson with you and leave the heaviness behind. You can remember what happened and still choose not to carry it like proof that nothing better can come. You can say, "This shaped me, but it does not own me. This hurt me, but it will not define the rest of my life. This ended, but I am still here." Your future does not need to be forced because your future is built from the energy you live in now. When you live in fear, you look for danger everywhere. When you live in shame, you keep finding reasons to doubt yourself. When you live in waiting, you keep placing your life outside your own hands. But when you begin to live in self-love, even gently, your energy changes. You begin to walk differently. You begin to choose differently. You begin to notice what feels peaceful and what feels heavy. You begin to hear the quiet voice inside that says, "This way feels better." This is how life opens, not always through a sudden miracle, but through inner alignment. Through the moment you stop betraying your peace. Through the moment you stop choosing the same pain because it is familiar. Through the moment you realize you do not need to chase a future that is meant for your soul. You only need to become available to it by no longer clinging to what keeps you closed. Let your movement be gentle. Begin with your inner world. Speak to yourself like someone you are responsible for loving. If your mind says, "I wasted too much time," answer with compassion. "I have learned, and I can begin now." If your heart says, "I am afraid," answer with warmth. "I can be afraid and still choose what is good for me." If your past says, "Come back," answer with peace. "I honor what was, but I belong to what is still possible." There is no need to fight yourself into a new life. Fighting creates more tension. Softness creates space. The heart opens when it feels safe, not when it feels attacked. So if you want to move forward, do not begin with self-criticism. Begin with care. Begin by asking, What would feel loving today? What would support my peace? What would help me return to myself? What thought can I stop feeding? What small choice can make my energy lighter? Maybe moving forward today means cleaning the space around you so your mind can feel less crowded. Maybe it means taking care of your body because your body carried you through days you thought you could not survive. Maybe it means writing down what you are ready to release, not to relive it, but to stop keeping it hidden in your chest. Maybe it means speaking truth to yourself. I cannot keep waiting where my soul keeps hurting. Maybe it means allowing yourself to want more than the life you have been settling for. You are allowed to want more. More peace, more honesty, more tenderness, more respect, more joy, more clear love, more inner steadiness. Wanting more does not make you ungrateful. It means your soul remembers that life can expand. It means the part of you that has been shrinking is ready to breathe again. It means you are beginning to understand that survival is not the same as living. For a long time, maybe survival was all you could do. You made it through the day. You held yourself together. You carried the questions. You smiled when you were tired. You kept going while a part of you was waiting for something to change. Honor that version of yourself. Do not judge them. They protected you in the only way they knew. But now another version of you is ready to rise. Not by rejecting the old self, but by guiding them gently into a new way. This new way says, I do not need to stay where I am unseen. I do not need to live from fear. I do not need to wait for another person's readiness before I choose my own healing. I do not need to keep my heart tied to what keeps me confused. I can love myself and still be soft. I can move forward and still be kind. I can release what hurts and still remain open to life. Moving forward also means learning to stop looking backward for proof. Proof that you mattered, proof that you were loved, proof that it was real, proof that the waiting meant something. But your worth does not need to be proven by the past. Your love was real because you felt it. Your effort mattered because you gave it. Your heart was sincere because you know what you carried. You do not need someone else to confirm the truth of your own experience. When you stop needing proof, you become free to live. You stop searching old places for new peace. You stop rereading old pain, hoping to find comfort there. You stop treating the wound like it is the only thing that can explain you. You begin to trust your own knowing. You begin to say, I know what I felt. I know what hurt. I know what I need now. And what I need now is peace. The future may still feel uncertain. That is natural. When you have been waiting for a long time, uncertainty can feel frightening. You may wonder what will come next, who you will become, whether you will be loved again, whether life will feel good again. Let those questions be there without letting them rule you. You do not need to answer your whole future before you take care of your present. You only need to choose what brings you closer to yourself today. Your future is not asking you to control it. It is asking you to trust the movement of life. It is asking you to stop clinging to what has already shown you its limits. It is asking you to become available to better by no longer accepting less than your peace requires. It is asking you to see that moving forward is not a loss of love, but an act of love. Love for your heart, love for your time, love for the life that still wants to unfold through you. Do not be afraid if the first steps feel quiet. Real change often begins quietly. It begins when you no longer argue with the truth. It begins when you no longer chase what has chosen distance. It begins when you stop waiting for your life to feel easy before you participate in it. It begins when you tell yourself, I may not feel ready, but I am willing to care for myself now. Willingness is enough to begin. You do not need perfect courage. You do not need a perfect plan. You do not need a perfect mood. You need a loving direction. And the direction is simple. Back to yourself, back to peace, back to life, back to the truth that you are worthy of moving forward. Say inside your heart, I allow my future to open gently. I do not chase what is meant for me. I do not hold what keeps me small. I move with love. I move with trust. I move with respect for my own soul. Let these words become a new path inside you. Let them remind you that you are not forcing life. You are cooperating with it. When you stop forcing, you begin to notice where life is already guiding you. The conversation that brings clarity. The quiet feeling that says, not this anymore. The new desire rising in your heart. The strength that appears when you decide you are done waiting in pain. The peace that comes after you stop explaining yourself. These are not random. They are signs of your own energy returning. You are not behind. You are not starting from nothing. You are starting from wisdom. Every delay taught you something. Every disappointment showed you what your heart needs. Every closed door helped you understand what does not match your peace. Every season of waiting has now brought you to this sacred choice. Will I keep standing still, or will I love myself enough to move? Move, but do not rush. Grow, but do not punish yourself. Open, but do not abandon your wisdom. Trust, but do not ignore your truth. Let your future come through a healed relationship with yourself. Let it come through choices that feel clean in your body. Let it come through the simple decision to no longer waste your life waiting for what does not bring you peace. Your future is not running away from you. It is waiting for you to stop giving your whole self to the past. It is waiting for you to bring your energy home. It is waiting for you to believe that new beauty can still find you. And as you begin to move with self-love, you will realize that the future was never asking you to become perfect. It was only asking you to become present, honest, and willing. Trusting life does not mean you stop choosing yourself. It does not mean you sit in pain and call it faith. It does not mean you wait forever in a place that keeps your heart unsure and tell yourself that divine timing will fix what your soul is asking you to face. Trusting life means you believe that love, guidance, and good can meet you as you stop abandoning yourself. It means you understand that life can support you more deeply when you stop standing against your own peace. Sometimes people misunderstand trust. They think trust means doing nothing. They think it means accepting every painful situation as destiny. They think it means staying where they are not valued because maybe someday it will change. But trust is not passive suffering. Trust is a living relationship with life. It is a quiet inner knowing that says, I can make loving choices and still be guided. I can release what hurts and still be held. I can choose myself and still trust that what belongs to me will not be lost. If something is truly meant for your soul, it will not require you to disappear from yourself. It will not ask you to live in constant anxiety. It will not make you feel that your needs are too much. It will not keep you shrinking while you call it patience. What is meant for you may challenge you, grow you, stretch you, and teach you, but it will not ask you to betray your own heart to keep it. This is an important truth. Hold it gently. Let it change the way you wait, the way you love, the way you choose. Divine timing is real, but divine timing is not an excuse to stay emotionally frozen. Sometimes divine timing begins to work when you finally move away from what is blocking your peace. Sometimes the path opens after you stop forcing the wrong door. Sometimes life cannot bring the next blessing because your hands are still full of what drains you. Sometimes the delay is not because life has forgotten you, but because life is waiting for you to choose yourself. This does not mean you blame yourself. It means you receive your power. There is a difference. Blame says, "This is all my fault." Power says, "I can choose differently now." Blame makes you feel small. Power brings you back into alignment. Blame keeps you stuck in shame. Power opens the door to healing. Life is not asking you to punish yourself for where you have been. Life is inviting you to participate in where you are going. Trust life by listening to what brings you peace. Trust life by honoring the quiet discomfort that tells you something is not right. Trust life by noticing when your body feels tight around a person, a habit, a pattern, or a memory. Trust life by allowing doors to close without forcing them open with your bare heart. Trust life by believing that what leaves your life may be creating room for what can love you better. You may not always understand the timing. You may not understand why something ended, why someone changed, why a dream was delayed, why you had to learn through waiting. But you can trust that understanding is not always required for healing. Sometimes the soul heals when it stops demanding every answer and begins to follow what feels true now. You can say, I do not know why everything happened the way it did, but I know I deserve peace now. I know I deserve love that does not make me lose myself now. I know I am allowed to move forward now. When you choose yourself, your energy begins to shift. You no longer send life the message that you are willing to be forgotten in your own story. You no longer teach your heart that love means waiting in pain. You no longer give all your light to places that return confusion. Instead, you begin to stand in a new frequency of self-respect. You begin to say through your choices, I am available for peace. I am available for clear love. I am available for a life that supports my growth. Life responds to that. Not always instantly, not always in the exact way the mind expects, but life responds. When you stop chasing, you become easier to reach by what is aligned. When you stop gripping, your hands become open to receive. When you stop begging for crumbs, you create space for nourishment. When you stop waiting in the wrong place, the right paths become easier to see. Trust does not remove all uncertainty. Trust changes your relationship with uncertainty. Instead of saying, I do not know what will happen, so I must panic, trust says, I do not know what will happen, but I will stay close to myself. I will make loving choices. I will listen to wisdom. I will not abandon my peace just because the future is not fully visible. This is a calmer way to live. This is how you move with life instead of fighting it. Think of life as a wide river. When you cling to a rock in the middle of the river, because you are afraid of where the current may take you, your body becomes tired, your hands ache, your heart races. You are not safe because you are clinging. You are exhausted. But when you learn to trust the flow, you begin to understand that the river is not trying to harm you. It is trying to carry you beyond the place where you got stuck. Choosing yourself is how you release the rock. Trusting life is how you allow the movement. The rock may be an old relationship. It may be a belief about your worth. It may be the need for closure. It may be fear of starting over. It may be guilt. It may be the belief that if you stop waiting, nothing good will come. Whatever it is, ask yourself gently, is this giving me peace, or is this only familiar? Familiar is not always safe. Familiar is not always love. Sometimes familiar is simply the pattern you have repeated long enough to mistake it for home. Your true home is not a painful pattern. Your true home is the peaceful place inside you where love and truth can meet. The more you choose yourself, the more you return there. You begin to trust your own inner signals. You begin to know what expands you and what closes you. You begin to recognize that life speaks through peace, through clarity, Tian, through repeated discomfort, through quiet knowing, through the soft pull toward what feels more honest. Trust life while you choose yourself by releasing the belief that choosing yourself will make you lose what is meant for you. What is meant for you is not so fragile that self-love can destroy it. What is meant for you will meet the version of you who is whole enough to receive it. What is meant for you will not need your self-abandonment as payment. If something leaves because you chose peace, it was not built to honor your peace. Let that truth comfort you. There is a kind of love that only arrives after you stop accepting emotional confusion. There is a kind of opportunity that only becomes visible after you stop staring at the closed door. There is a kind of inner peace that only appears after you stop trying to control how everything must unfold. You may think you are losing life by letting go, but often you are making room for life to reach you in a cleaner way. Trust life by making space. Space in your mind, space in your heart, space in your daily choices, space where old worry used to live, space where checking used to happen, space where self-blame used to repeat, space where the future can enter, space where your own dreams can finally speak again. A crowded heart cannot easily hear guidance. A heart filled with old fear cannot easily receive new love. So space is not emptiness. Space is sacred. You may feel grief as you create that space. That is natural. When you stop waiting, you may grieve the hope you carried. You may grieve the version of life you wanted. You may grieve the person you were when you believed it would all turn out differently. Let grief move through you with kindness. Grief does not mean you made the wrong choice. It means something mattered. But even grief can walk with you as you move toward peace. It does not have to become your permanent address. Trust life also means trusting that your heart can love again, dream again, rest again, and feel joy again. Pain may tell you that the best is behind you. Fear may tell you that nothing will change. Waiting may tell you that you cannot live until the old story resolves. But life is wider than pain. Life is deeper than fear. Life has more doors than the ones you have already known. You are not limited to the chapter that wounded you. When you choose yourself, you send a message to every part of your being. I am no longer willing to disappear. Your body hears that. Your heart hears that. Your mind hears that. Your energy begins to reorganize around dignity instead of desperation. You stop moving from lack and begin moving from worth. You stop asking, how can I make them choose me? And begin asking, what choice honors my soul? That question changes everything. Let life support this new choice. Let life bring the people who can meet you with more honesty. Let life bring the opportunities that match your growth. Let life remove what you keep trying to keep only because you are afraid of spa. Let life surprise you. Let life show you that your peace is not the end of love, but the beginning of real love. You do not need to know the full plan to trust the next loving choice. You do not need to see the final outcome to choose self-respect. You do not need to know who will stay, who will return, or what will unfold. You only need to know that abandoning yourself is no longer the path. Waiting in pain is no longer the path. Living from fear is no longer the path. The path now is love with wisdom. trust with boundaries, softness with self-respect, hope with inner steadiness. Say to yourself, I trust life as I choose myself. I trust that what is meant for me can meet me in peace. I trust that what leaves when I honor my worth was not meant to keep me small. I trust that my future can open in ways I do not yet see. I trust that life supports the heart that is willing to come home to itself. Let those words settle into the places where fear has lived. Let them remind you that you are not choosing between love and yourself. Real love includes yourself. You are not choosing between faith and movement. Real faith can move. You are not choosing between patience and self-respect. Real patience does not require self-abandonment. You are choosing a cleaner way, a wiser way, a more peaceful way. Life is not finished with you. Life is not withholding good from you. Life is not asking you to waste your precious days waiting for what keeps your heart in pain. Life is asking you to trust that when you move with love, you are guided. When you choose peace, you are supported. When you release what is not aligned, you are not empty. You are becoming available. And what you become available for is greater than what you have been waiting in pain for. You become available for your own joy, your own voice, your own dreams, your own healing, your own future. You become available for love that does not ask you to disappear. You become available for peace that does not depend on someone else's choice. You become available for life itself. There is a version of you waiting beneath all the waiting. A version of you who no longer measures their worth by who stayed, who left, who answered, who noticed, who understood, or who returned. A version of you who is still soft but no longer lost, still loving but no longer self-abandoning, still open but no longer willing to live in confusion. This version is not far away. This version is already inside you, quietly rising each time you choose peace over pain. You are becoming the person who no longer waits to be chosen before feeling worthy. You are becoming the person who does not need to chase clarity from places that keep creating confusion. You are becoming the person who can miss what was and still choose what heals. You are becoming the person who understands that love is not meant to feel like losing yourself. You are becoming the person who can say, I care, but I will not disappear. This new version of you does not hate the past. It does not need to. It has learned from the past. It has grown through the past. It has cried, wondered, hoped, held on, and finally understood. The past was not wasted if it brought you back to yourself with more wisdom. The waiting was not wasted if it taught you the value of your own life. The heartbreak was not wasted if it helped you understand the kind of love your soul truly needs. Do not look at the old version of yourself with shame. The version who waited was not foolish. The version who hoped was not weak. The version who stayed too long was trying to love, trying to believe, trying to keep the heart open. Bless that version. Thank them for surviving. Thank them for carrying you this far. Then gently guide them forward. Tell them, we do not have to wait there anymore. We have learned. We are ready to live. The version of you who no longer waits does not beg for signs from people who have already shown their truth. This version listens to behavior. This version trusts the body's quiet knowing. This version understands that peace is also an answer. This version no longer confuses intensity with love or silence with mystery. It knows that love should not keep the soul in a constant state of wondering. The version of you who no longer waits speaks differently. Instead of saying, "Why am I not enough?" this version says, "I am enough, and I will no longer place my worth in unsure hands." Instead of saying, "Why did this happen to me?" this version says, "What is life teaching me about love, boundaries, and self-respect?" Instead of saying, "I cannot move on without closure," this version says, "I can give myself peace even without every answer." Instead of saying, "I lost everything," this version says, "I am making room for a life that can hold me better." Your words create the atmosphere of your inner world. If you keep speaking as though you are abandoned, your heart will feel abandoned. If you keep speaking as though life has ended, your energy will close around the ending. But when you begin to speak as someone who is returning, healing, rising, and choosing, your inner world begins to change. The words may feel new at first, but let them become familiar. Let them become the new language of your life. Say, "I am allowed to move forward. I am worthy of love that is clear. I release what keeps me small. I choose my life again." These are not words of anger. They are words of homecoming. They help you remember that you do not need to keep rehearsing pain to prove it mattered. They help you stand in the present with dignity. They help you see yourself not as the person who was left waiting, but as the person who finally came back. The version of you who no longer waits takes responsibility for energy, not blame, responsibility. This version asks, where is my attention going? Is it feeding my peace or feeding my pain? Is it bringing me home or pulling me backward? Is it helping me grow or keeping me tied to an old story? These questions are powerful. They help you stop living unconsciously. They help you take your power back from what you keep thinking about, checking, imagining, fearing, and repeating. Where your attention goes, your emotional life follows. If your attention always returns to the old wound, the wound keeps feeling fresh. If your attention returns to self-love, your heart begins to strengthen. If your attention returns to possibility, your future begins to feel alive again. This does not mean you deny pain. It means pain is no longer the only place you live. It means you allow other truths to exist too. The truth that you are still worthy. The truth that you are still growing. The truth that life can still be kind. This new version of you learns how to protect peace without guilt. Peace is not something you must explain to everyone. Peace is not something you must give away to prove you are kind. Peace is sacred. If a habit, a message, a memory, a person, or a pattern keeps taking you away from yourself, you are allowed to create distance. You are allowed to choose silence where explanation would only drain you. You are allowed to protect the healing that is still tender. Some people may not understand your new boundaries. That is all right. You are not healing to be understood by everyone. You are healing to be honest with yourself. The people who benefited from your lack of boundaries may be uncomfortable with your self-respect. That does not mean you are wrong. It means you are no longer playing the same role. You are no longer available to abandon yourself for the comfort of others. The version of you who no longer waits also begins to dream again. At first, this may feel strange. Pain can make the future feel small. Waiting can make your dreams feel far away. But as your energy returns, desire returns too. You may feel a quiet interest in your own life again. You may want to create, learn, rest, travel, connect, build, heal, love, or simply enjoy a calmer day. Welcome these desires. They are signs of life moving through you again. Do not rush to become a new person overnight. Become the new version through daily devotion to your own soul. Devotion is not pressure. Devotion is love made steady. It is choosing not to betray yourself when old patterns call. It is choosing to speak kindly when self-blame rises. It is choosing to walk away from confusion when the heart longs for clarity. It is choosing to believe that your future deserves your energy. You may still have moments when you miss the old story. That does not mean you are going backward. The mind often returns to what it knows. The heart may revisit what once felt important. When this happens, do not shame yourself. Simply return to the truth. I can remember and still move forward. I can feel and still choose peace. I can miss what was and still honor what is becoming. This is emotional maturity. This is healing with compassion. The version of you who no longer waits knows that love is not proved by suffering. It knows that waiting in patience does not make you more loyal. It knows that self-sacrifice is not the same as devotion. It knows that real love does not require you to keep your life small. This version is willing to receive love that feels peaceful, even if peace feels unfamiliar at first. This version is willing to let healthy love feel new. You are becoming someone who can stand in your own life without asking the past to approve. Someone who can wake up and give the day to yourself instead of to old uncertainty. Someone who can look in the mirror with tenderness and say, "You deserved better, and we will give you better now." Someone who can take all the love they once poured into waiting and pour it into healing, growth, beauty, and inner safety. This is not selfish. This is sacred repair. Every time you choose yourself, you repair the places where you once left yourself. Every time you speak gently, you repair the places where criticism lived. Every time you set a boundary, you repair the places where fear ruled. Every time you stop waiting for pain to become love, you repair the places where your worth was tied to someone else's choice. The version of you who no longer waits understands that moving forward is not a single door. It is a way of walking. It is how you carry yourself. It is how you respond to longing. It is how you speak to your fear. It is how you choose peace when the old story tries to return. It is how you stay soft without becoming available to the same wound again. Let your identity shift from the inside. You are not the one who waits to be chosen. You are the one who chooses yourself with love. You are not the one who remains stuck in confusion. You are the one who moves toward clarity. You are not the one who begs for peace from the outside. You are the one who creates peace within. You are not the one who has been forgotten. You are the one life is patiently guiding back home. Feel the dignity in that. Feel the softness. Feel the strength that does not need to shout. This is not the strength of a closed heart. This is the strength of a healed heart beginning to trust itself. A heart that says, I still believe in love, but I no longer believe love should cost me myself. I still believe in life, but I no longer believe I must wait in pain to prove my faith. I still believe in goodness, but I am willing to receive it from places that feel safe. There is a peaceful confidence that grows when you stop waiting. It may begin quietly, but it becomes steady. You no longer need every person to approve of you. You no longer need every ending to be explained. You no longer need every delay to mean something painful. You begin to trust that your life has its own rhythm and you are allowed to move with it. This version of you is not built through rejection of the past, but through devotion to the present. It is built each time you choose your peace, each time you choose truth. Each time you give yourself the love you once waited to receive, each time you decide that your life is too sacred to be spent in emotional waiting rooms. Each time you remember that you are not late, you are arriving. Say within yourself, I am arriving back to my life. I am arriving back to my peace. I am arriving back to my worth. I no longer wait to be loved before I love myself. I no longer wait to be chosen before I choose myself. I no longer wait for permission to live. I am here now, and I am moving forward with love. Let this be the version that leads you now. Not the wounded fear, not the old longing, not the part that thinks crumbs are enough. Let the wiser you lead, the softer you, the calmer you. The you who has learned that love should feel like safety, not survival. The you who knows that your life is still full of possibility. The you who is ready to stop waiting and start living from the truth of your own worth. Now let these words settle into the deepest part of you. Do not waste your life waiting, not because you are being rushed, not because your feelings do not matter, not because the past meant nothing, but because your life is sacred, your heart is sacred, your time here is sacred. And you were not created to spend your days standing still in the shadow of what did not love you clearly, what did not choose you fully, or what did not arrive when your heart needed it most. You are allowed to love yourself and walk forward. You are allowed to carry wisdom instead of pain. You are allowed to keep the lesson and release the wound. You are allowed to remember what mattered and still decide that your future matters too. Moving forward does not mean the past never touched you. It means the past does not get to hold the rest of your life in its hands. There is no need to hate what you are leaving behind. There is no need to become hard. There is no need to turn your heart into stone. You can walk forward with softness. You can bless the lessons. You can forgive yourself for the time you spent waiting. You can honor the love you gave. You can thank your heart for trying. And then you can say, "Now it is my turn to live." Your life is still waiting for you, not in the old place, but here in the present. It is waiting in your breath, in your body, in the quiet dreams you forgot to listen to, in the peace that comes when you stop chasing confusion, in the love that begins when you stop rejecting yourself. It is waiting in the small choices that bring you back. It is waiting in the moment you decide that you will no longer make your happiness depend on what someone else is ready to give. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not forgotten by life. Even if you waited for years, even if you stayed longer than you wish, even if you gave too much of your heart to a place that did not know how to care for it, life can still meet you. Healing can still rise. Peace can still return. Love can still find you. And most beautifully, you can still find yourself. Let the old waiting end gently. Let it end without drama. Let it on. And as a quiet decision inside your own heart, I will not keep my life on hold. I will not keep my worth tied to uncertainty. I will not keep feeding what drains me. I will love myself enough to move forward. Feel the power of that. I love myself enough to move forward. Not because moving forward is easy, not because the heart feels nothing, not because every answer is clear, but because self-love is stronger than the habit of waiting, because peace is more important than old attachment, because life is still calling your name, because the future deserves to meet a version of you who is no longer hidden behind pain. There will be days when you feel strong, and there will be days when tenderness returns. Let both be part of the path. You do not need to make healing perfect. You only need to keep returning to love. When the old memory rises, return to love. When the mind asks why, return to love. When fear says nothing better will come, return to love. When loneliness visits, return to love. Love is not only something you receive from others. Love is the way you hold yourself through every season. Tell yourself, I am here for you. I will not leave you in the past. I will not shame you for hurting. I will not force you to heal faster. I will walk with you. I will choose peace with you. I will build a life with you. These words are the beginning of a new relationship with yourself, a relationship where you are no longer the one abandoned by your own thoughts, a relationship where you become your own safe place. The love you are learning now is deep. It is not the love that begs. It is not the love that waits in pain. It is not the love that disappears to keep someone close. It is the love that honors truth. It is the love that knows when to release. It is the love that holds your heart with respect. It is the love that says, I can care about what was, but I will not sacrifice what can be. As you walk forward, let your steps be guided by peace. If something brings confusion again and again, listen. If something makes your heart smaller, listen. If something requires you to silence your needs, listen. Your soul is always speaking. It does not always shout. Often, it speaks through heaviness, through tiredness, through the quiet knowing that says, this is not where I am meant to stay. And when you listen, life begins to feel different. You start to trust yourself. You start to believe your own feelings. You start to understand that peace is not too much to ask for. You start to choose people, thoughts, and paths that feel honest. You start to see that loving yourself is not the end of connection. It is the beginning of healthier connection. Because when you belong to yourself, you no longer beg to belong where you are not valued. Your future will not be built by waiting for the past to change. It will be built by the love you give yourself now. It will be built by the thoughts you choose, the boundaries you honor, the healing you allow, the peace you protect, the dreams you return to, the trust you practice, the way you stop asking life to prove you are worthy and begin living as someone who already is. You are worthy now, not after they return, not after they apologize, not after the dream arrives, not after you become more successful, more beautiful, more healed, more confident, or more understood. You are worthy now, in this human moment, with a heart that has been through enough and still wants to love. You are worthy of your own kindness. You are worthy of rest. You are worthy of joy. You are worthy of clear love. You are worthy of a life that does not keep you waiting in pain. Let your heart receive this. What is meant for you will meet the version of you who is no longer abandoning yourself. It will not require you to beg. It will not require you to shrink. It will not require you to keep proving your value. What is meant for you will feel like truth, even if it takes courage. It will feel like peace, even if it asks you to grow. It will feel like a return to yourself, not a loss of yourself. So walk forward. Walk forward from the old waiting. Walk forward from the need to be chosen by what could not choose you clearly. Walk forward from the fear that your life has passed you by. Walk forward from the belief that you must suffer to prove your love. Walk forward from the story that says you cannot begin again. Walk forward with your heart in your own hands, gently, safely, lovingly. There is still so much life ahead of you. There are moments of peace you have not yet felt. There are people who will understand your heart without making you beg for basic kindness. There are dreams that will return when your energy is no longer tied to old pain. There is a version of you who laughs more freely, rests more deeply, trusts more gently, and loves without losing themselves. That version is not gone. That version is growing. And the way to meet that version is not through waiting. It is through choosing. Choosing your peace. Choosing your healing. Choosing your body. Choosing your dreams. Choosing your own heart. Choosing the present moment. Choosing not to make a home in uncertainty. Choosing to love yourself so deeply that you no longer mistake pain for devotion. Let this be your final truth here. You are allowed to move forward without guilt. You are allowed to heal without permission. You are allowed to be happy without the past becoming perfect. You are allowed to receive new love without betraying what you once felt. You are allowed to become peaceful even if someone else never understands your pain. You are allowed to live. Say within yourself, I love myself enough to move forward. I trust life. I choose peace. I choose myself. I release the waiting. I welcome the life that is ready to meet me now. Let those words become a soft light within you. Let them guide your heart away from what keeps it tired and toward what helps it breathe. Let them remind you that you do not need to keep standing still for a chapter that has already taught you what it came to teach. Let them help you walk forward, not with fear, but with love. Your life is not over. Your heart is not ruined. Your future is not closed. You are not too late. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are here, and here is where life begins again. Love yourself. Choose yourself. Trust the quiet path ahead, and walk forward with the deep knowing that peace is allowed to be yours now.